reporting experiencing encounters with really frightening creatures in their DMT experience, great insectoid creatures, and this was frightening enough that the whole project was canceled. Not very long after that, I was listening to a report by the American teacher of mindfulness, Buddhism, meditation, Shinzen Young, who was explaining that in some of his own deep meditative experiences, he had encountered these great insectoid, grasshopper-like creatures that were enormous. And as Shinzen Young explains it, this is not to be alarmed about, that this is merely the deep unconscious releasing images into your experience, and to recognize these as experiences of consciousness rather than actual external creatures. Now, I just find that a really interesting perspective on this whole business of trying to make sense in a scientific way of experiences that really can't be scientifically quantified. Yes, it's possible to say that ingesting DMT produces sometimes results that are similar to some kinds of spiritual experience, which still leaves us with the same questions of what are these experiences? What are they about? Where did they come from? And somehow trying to take the scientific approach of just saying, well, it's only the response of, say, DMT, still leaves us saying, but what's it about? I don't know if that...
That's a good answer. Let me ask you this, Nancy. The issues you raise go to the heart of questions that we pounce on this program from many different perspectives. The nature of reality itself. I mean, you describing people who come back and say they've been told it's all a dream, that's not unusual to hear. The concept that life isn't real, that it's some kind of a simulation, a computer simulation, that we're a part of a video game of some giant alien intelligence. That stuff comes up more often than not. And it goes to the heart of what reality is.
Yes. Yes. What I have come to myself is, oh gosh, sound bites don't quite do it on this kind of conversation, do they, George?
No, they don't. That's why we're here. Whether or not we are participants in somebody else's dream, whether or not physical reality is the sum total of reality, I have come to the conclusion that, as I've said in the book, the answers to some questions are just stored on a shelf that is out of our reach. And
So I've pretty much stopped trying to answer those, which, of course, some people will say, well, that's just cowardice on your part. But it's more fatigue, I think, than cowardice. I think this is the point at which we have to make a choice. We can either say, in a thoroughly postmodern way, well, there is no way to have answers for anything. Nothing is real. All is lost, and there's nothing here but nihilism. And we can then float off on a really bleak trajectory. Or we can choose to say, you know, what's it all about? It beats me. But I can make something. It's back to the woman floating in the void. I have a seeming ability to be able to do something with being here. I can make something of it. And it's, I think, up to us what we do make of it. Whether it's, maybe I am a fantasy of some kind. Maybe I am part of a great computer game. But if that's the case, then I had better just be the best possible part of that computer game that I can bring myself to be. I mean, what other option is there? None that makes any sense as far as I can see. And if I'm a goldfish in somebody's goldfish bowl, then hey, be a better goldfish.
One other question, Nancy. I'm sorry, we're not going to get to any more calls. We've got 2 minutes left, I think. Is there some sort of a message about this life on Earth, that, you could say one message would be a better life awaits us, don't sweat the small stuff, but you could also interpret the total experiences as earthly life does count, make the most of it, be good to each other.
I think it would be whatever this is. We are engaged in a gigantic mystery, which is both beautiful and terrible, sometimes at the same time. And it simply behooves us to do our best with that however we can, and whatever that may mean to us. Basically, I think if we can learn to be decent to each other, we will have gone a long distance to answering questions of meaning and purpose, and maybe even some of the answers hidden on that high shelf.
Well, on that note, I mean, that's a pretty good place to start. Nancy, I can't tell you how much I enjoyed the conversation and how much I enjoyed the book. Nancy Evans Bush, her book is called Dancing Past the Dark. I hope you'll check it out. Thanks also to my earlier guests, Dennis Mitchell, Mark Allen, Jeff Ritzman, and thanks to the folks there at Premier as well. Have a good one, everyone. I'll be back in a couple of weeks. Good night.